Exactly 1 week ago, pro golfer Grayson Murray withdrew from the Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth after the 16th hole in his second round. The next morning, he was found dead by suicide.
Murray had been open for years about his mental health battles, even expanding on the progress he had made after winning his second PGA tournament of his career earlier this year. Our Whitney joins us now. It's so obvious golf's a mental game. We don't talk about mental health very much, though, in the sport.
And maybe that's changing, Jared. Just this week, ahead of the women's U.S. Open, LPGA star Lexi Thompson, who came on the scene as a teenage phenomenon, announced her retirement after the end of this season. She's just 29 years old. She cited mental health issues. Of course, some of those challenges come from the game itself, the pressures on the course. But there's a lot more to it than that. I caught up with Kyle Morris, the co-founder of The Golf Room and former pro golfer, to gain some insight into the silent battles these athletes wage before they even tee it up on the first hole.
You're getting done with the tournament on Sunday at 7, and then you're driving 9 hours to the next site to maybe Monday qualify and play the course blind. And then if you do get in the tournament, you have to make the cut to then make a check.
Kyle Morris knows firsthand the hustle and heartache of professional golf.
99% of the time you're losing. So like 99% of the time you walk off a golf course, you feel deflated in the fact that you're like, oh, I should have done better.
That kind of constant criticism is hard for anyone, even for people who are already the best of the best in the world.
The one thing with golf that was interesting is that the higher up that you got on tours, the lonelier it got.
You know, the assumption is if you're really good at your sport, then you can figure it all out, or you know how to handle situations, but that's not always the case.
Professional athletic counselor Dr. Chris Stankovich says talent can hide torment with some athletes, especially when the sport becomes a person's whole identity.
I always worry about sports where they're more individual in nature. When you're anxious or depressed or, you know, just feeling kind of out of things, who do you go to? Who do you turn to? And I think when that gets internalized, I think that leaves somebody really vulnerable as well.
Stankovich and Morris both believe that mental health conversations and awareness needs to start with young athletes.
The biggest signs are the lack of affect, and when they're not as proud about their accomplishments or excited to get to that game.
There's nothing wrong with competitiveness and feeling a sense of letdown after competition, but there is a subjective line as to when does the drop in morale extend too far. Find what they're really, really passionate about and then let them run really, really fast at it.
Now, as part of the golf room with their students, Kyle says that they actually talked about mental health a lot this year, and they did a deal where they had to draw their gremlin, like actually draw a picture of their gremlin and then write down the lies that the gremlin would say to them and debunk those lies. A really interesting, exercise for some of these young golfers he teaches. A real quick thing about the Memorial Tournament next week. They will be honoring Grayson Murray's memory.
Oh, we'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about golf is just, golf is, like you said, 99% you lose. And it's so mentally frustrating. That's just a sport that just wears you out. You can understand how this is becoming problematic.
Absolutely.
I mean, all right. Thank you, Whitney. Yeah. If you or someone you know is struggling, you do not need to suffer in silence. Help's available. The number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is just 3 digits, 988. The Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation number is 614-429-1528.